So if you'd like to hear any lore, and I mean any lore whatsoever, check out the Patreon, because even at the $1 tier, your voice is heard every single week when I ask a poll for what lore you'd like to hear. And this week's lore, by way of Patreon, is coming to us from Fallout 4 on Nate, the sole survivor. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about him as Nate, not so much as the sole survivor. A former soldier and a decorated war hero of the 2nd Battalion, 108th Infantry Regiment of the U.S. Army. It's never said that he saw battle, but I'm assuming that if he is a decorated war hero, he has seen some sort of deployment. He's a soldier of the Sino-American War, the resource wars, the battle that is going on between China, America, Russia. It's kind of implied that he was deployed in Alaska, but again, it's never like 100% stated. Also, I'm bringing this up now because I didn't know people had any other thoughts otherwise. In the one animatic, not even animatic, in the one opening trailer, that's the live action trailer they did for Fallout 4, there's a man walking with someone in a suit of power armor, and he's got a laser rifle. That's Nate. It's like believed to be Nate. I didn't think anybody thought it wasn't Nate. I thought we all like knew that it was Nate. Apparently not. Apparently that's not a common conception. Now, at Fraternal Post 115, there's a speech memo that you can read about an event that was supposed to be happening in Concord. It's supposed to be happening in Concord the day the bombs drop. We're overjoyed to have such a decorated war hero like alias player, so Nate. We're overjoyed to have such a decorated war hero like Nate giving a speech in Concord. We should try to get him down here too. It always brings in people and funding. Sometime before the war, he gets married to Nora, or whatever the hell you name her, depending on what you play through. They have sex in the park. It's what it said on the wiki. I got all my lore off of falloutofandom.com. There's a speech option where one of them can say to the other one, "You want to go to the park?" I believe it's Nate goes, "Let's go to the park." And Nora goes, "Yeah, and last time we did that, I got pregnant." It doesn't necessarily mean they had sex in the park. I mean, maybe they had sex in the park. If you're going to have sex anywhere, and it's not indoors, you might as well have it at the park. And then sometime within 2077, October, so this is about January-ish? December, January, February-ish? Because Sean seems to be pretty newborn. Sean is born in 2077. And they have a dog that has gone missing, as well as a Mr. Handy, who is Cogsworth, and you get to know, and he calls you by your name, and you could put a little silly hat on him. Now, on October 23rd of 2077, Nate and his wife are getting ready for the event in Concord that he's going to go speak at the Veterans Hall, later to be interrupted by the Vault Tech salesman, and he sold his spot inside of Vault 111 mere minutes before the bombs actually get to a dropping. He would be walked into Vault 111. He would be put into a deep cryo freeze. And in 2227, Conrad Kellogg and a team of Institute scientists wake up Nate and Nora looking for the purest strain of human they can find. And they wind up taking Sean, killing Nora in front of you. And Kellogg will look back and say, "At least we got one more just in case." I'm going to talk about this in just a moment and where I feel like this kind of fits canonically. I'm not saying this isn't canon, just we'll get there. October 10th of 2287, almost 210 years exactly to the date of the Great War, the bombs dropping, Nate wakes up out of his cryo chamber and discovers that he is the sole survivor of Vault 111 and vows to find his wife's killer and his child, Sean. If you choose Nate, there's a few times where you can actually use his military background to your advantage in the story. If you choose Nate, when nearing the USS Constitution and is approached by the lookout will mention his time in the service. If one chooses to join the Brotherhood of Steel at the end of the quest Call to Arms upon entering the Cambridge police station to start the quest Semper Invicta, There will be a dialogue option in which the sole survivor can speak with Dance about his service in the army. Meeting Evan Watson in the Institute Advanced System for the first time, there is a dialogue option to agree with Watson's rules as a former soldier. However, Nora also has the same option available. His name in the E3 Tech demo was Mr. Howard, because Todd was there. He has some notable quotes. He's the one who says war never changes, and not Ron Perlman, which I remember being a little upset about when I first heard it. But hey, times change. So here's my thing with Nate. That's, in my opinion, a little bit too much of a backstory for an RPG. I had a friend who had played Fallout 4, and they gave their Nate, their sole survivor, a scar on his eye, and I said, "Oh, you don't have a scar on your eye. Why'd you do that?" And they go, "Well, he's military, so I feel like he would just have it." So it just kind of felt like, are you giving me too much information, like already right off the bat? I also don't think that this story is a real story. I think that Nate is a synth, just straight up and down. I think he's a Gen 4 synth that has full sentience and was given false memories, or maybe the memories of a real soldier by the name of Nate. And the fact that Dima kind of brings this up, that's like, you only remember that day and nothing else, kind of makes me feel like that's what they were going for to begin with, and then they didn't get that across, so they put it in the DLC. I also think that the dog, like dog meat is a synth. I've talked about this before. I know one of the earliest comments I ever got on a podcasting platform was just dog meat is a synth with a little hot dog emoji, because there's no way he's not, like, in my mind. You find him way too soon. Like, he's kind of with you. You need him to get into Kellogg's. It's just too serendipitous. It makes complete sense to me that none of anything that Nate went through was real. And that's why he's the sole survivor of 111, because I don't think anybody that was actually in there lived. I wouldn't be surprised they put them in the cryo sleep, something went wrong, and just that was it. It was over. I think, my honest opinion, he's a synth, and he is made of father's DNA, and he is told a tale to believe he has sentience. Because I think the level of Gen 4 synth is so advanced that if you were to explain to them that they were a synth, it would drive them absolutely mad. Nate is a character that I didn't like for a very long time because he's a voice protagonist. Because I felt like he went against what Fallout was. I feel like, especially the modern era of Fallout, I feel like he went against it because a voice protag, to me, doesn't make sense in an RPG. I would argue that Zelda really isn't an RPG, but it's a silent protagonist, and he's loved for it. Same thing with Gordon Freeman. I enjoy what Fallout 4 is now. Like, I feel like it was an experiment, especially after seeing what happened with Starfield and what happened with 76, and they're like, hey, no more voice protag? With it. I can appreciate what it was. It was an experiment. It was something that happened. We can go, that was cool. This is where it worked. This is where it didn't. And we can shboogie from there. I hope you guys enjoy this installment of Monster Month. But that is this week's lore. Hey, wasn't that clip great? Wasn't that a whole lot of fun? If you like that, consider listening to the whole podcast of Atomic Radio Hour. We do Fallout lore, but we also do a ton of other fun stuff. On screen right now are a couple of names that I have to thank. These fine folks are part of our Patreon. From the $1 tier to the $10 tier, every single week, your voice is heard when I ask a poll concerning the lore. And also at the $10 tier, you can watch the podcast episodes get recorded live. I want to thank these fine folks. I love you, each and every one of you. Thanks for checking us out. Stay tuned for a recommendation for what I think you should watch or YouTube thinks you should watch. And also, subscribe to my channel. Throw it a like. Give it a comment. See you guys soon. Love you.